Okay, so welcome to today's revision, the 30th of July 2020. This is the final revision for physics, tomorrow being the exam. And I'm giving the students an opportunity to work these revision questions this morning, and this afternoon they can go through back the other papers that they have. So, like the other papers that we will have worked, whenever you see a question, you just type in the answer or your response in the chat, and I will discuss the answers and probably make a mention if you're way off from the answer. Right, the easier questions, I'll just go through a bit fast, just to give more time on the more difficult ones. So do not wait until I say type in the answer. You start typing the answer as soon as you see the question. So this question asks us, what is the unit of frequency? And we should know that of frequency, the unit is actually hertz, that we will have learned. But we don't see hertz in the option here, so which other unit is it equivalent to? We should remember that frequency is equal to 1 over period, and period is measured in seconds, so it's basically 1 over second or second. All right, so that answer there is C. Question 2. Question 2 is asking which of the following pairs of fundamental quantities, which actually pair consists of fundamental quantities. So we look through the options. The first one here, mass and weight. Weight is not a fundamental quantity, so that is out. Mass and length, that is correct. Time and current, that is correct. So it is 2 and 3. So therefore, the answer there is D. Question 3. All right, so I see question 3. A lot of persons are responding that it is D. However, note that the unit here is centimeters and the unit expressed in the answer is meter cube. So the first thing you will need to do is to convert each one of these here to meters. So you divide it by 100, so this is basically 4 meters, multiply by 4 meters, multiply by 1.25 meters. And that is going to work out to be 20 meter cube. All right, so the answer there is B. Question 4, very simple question. The instrument most suitable for measuring the external diameter of a test tube. All right, so all those who have responded, I'm saying you have the correct answer there. It is the vernier caliper. Question 5. And while you're working through or reading through the question, I just want to tell you that these questions here are taken from Specimen Papers. The first set of questions are based on the Specimen 2002 paper, and the second set of questions, there are two sets of questions we're working today. The second set is based on the 2012 Specimen paper. All right, so again, remember when you're typing in your answer, just put the question number and then your response. So let's go through them here. The responses. Is one correct? Let's look through at one. It says here that the relative density of P is 0.8 kg per meter cube. This is not correct because relative density doesn't have a unit. All right, so basically that makes that this option is wrong. P will float in water. So if it tells you that the relative density of P is 0.8 times the density of water. Density of water is basically 1 gram per cm cube. 1 gram per cm cube. Yeah. All right, so it means that P will float on top of water. So this is correct. So we know that 1 is wrong and 2 is correct. If you're wanting to read through this here, the working actually is a quite lengthy working. And again, we're trying to save time here. So let's just eliminate 1. That is 1 is out, 1 is out, 1 is out. So it automatically tells us that it is C, 2 and 3. So when you go in that exam room tomorrow, the performers, and there's a few grade 10 students and also the grade 11 students, when you go in the exam room tomorrow, ensure that you're using the elimination method as well as you're seeing wrong options. You start striking them out, and eventually you may leave with correct answer right away. All right, so we go to question 6. Which of the following is dimensionless? Dimensionless meaning it doesn't have a unit, and yes, I see a lot of you getting it. It is relative density. Question 7. Question 7 has now become a very popular question in some papers. This was the 2002 specimen. They would have entered this question, but over the past few years, I have seen this question repeat several times. So to work this question here, what we do is that in one instance, we use X as the pivot, and we work for the moment. And then we use Y as the pivot, and we work for the moment. And then you compare the T1 value and the T2 value. All right, and you will find that T1 is going to be less than T2. Also, question 7 is A. Question 8. Question asks you, in which of the following is a quantity correctly paired with its unit? All right, so I'm seeing a few persons thinking that it is B. So let me just go through the responses together. A is wrong because mass is in kilograms. All right, so this is wrong. Moment of a force. Moment is actually force times the perpendicular distance. So that is actually Newton meter. Okay, not Newton per meter. Newton per meter is actually Nm minus 1, which is something different. Okay, so this is wrong. Work done again is force times distance, so this is wrong also. Energy, it is a Newton meter. That's another alternative unit. All right, so it is C. Question 9. So we go through the options. Body A is in neutral equilibrium. Is that true? No, that is not true. That is actually stable equilibrium. So this is incorrect. So 1 is incorrect. So we can strike out all the ones. All right, so we know this is wrong. This is wrong. By looking at that, we can see that 2 is correct. So we know this is correct here. B is unstable, and that is true. C says here that, sorry, 3, that body C is in stable equilibrium. What type of equilibrium is body C in? Let me see, type in your response. Is body C stable, unstable, or neutral? Or good, yes. So everyone is saying it is neutral, and you're correct there. All right, so body C is not unstable, it is in neutral. So therefore, this is incorrect. So the answer there is 2 only, which is A. Question 10. Question asks you which that tells you rather that a vehicle is moving with a uniform velocity of 10 meters per second. Which graph is representing that? So if it's a constant velocity of 10, it is B. All right, so that is correct. Question 11. So the question asks you at the highest point, if an object is thrown upwards, which of the following is true? So we examine each one of them. The velocity is 0. Yes, that will be considered. So we know 1. Well, actually, if we look at the options, we know that 1 is correct. All of them as 1. It is accelerating downwards. That is not true. So 2 is incorrect. So we can strike out B and we can strike out D. No net force is acting. Well, that is actually true. So the answer there is C. Question 12. So I'm seeing some different responses. A, D, forces are not too certain. All right. So let me just work question 12. Question 12 to give you the answer. So before collision, well, this isn't a collision, but at the beginning, the rifle and the bullet is going to be together. So basically, we'll know, and they were not moving, so therefore velocity is equal to 0. Therefore, momentum will equal to 0 overall. So after now in the final stage, this is the bullet. We said that all the, let's call the mass of the bullet m, and the question tells you that so the mass of the rifle is 100 times the mass of the bullet. This is 100 m. It tells you also that the recoil speed of the rifle is v. So let's call this v, and recoil meaning it is going to go backwards. So this is basically minus v. I'm going to drop the units for the question, but just for the ease of the working question. And this here is unknown because the bullet is going to go forward, and we will call that x. So multiplying, we'll have 100 mv, so actually minus 100 mv, plus m times x, and this should equal to 0. So therefore mx will equal to, taking this across, you get this going to end up with 100 mv. X is equal to 100 mv divided by m. M and m cancel there, and we'll have that. It is going to be 100 v. So the answer there is C, 100 v. Question 13. I'm reading through that a few of you are saying that your net is not working too well. Well, that is okay. At the end, you can always review the video to see which parts, the parts that you're missing out. To go to question 13, it asks you which of the following is an example of Newton's first law of motion. And remember, the first law is saying that so an object at rest is going to remain at rest. An object that is moving is going to continue to do so in a straight line unless this object is acted by an external force. So going through the options, you will see that so 1 and 2 are incorrect. And it is going to leave with 3 only. Right, so that is B. Question 14. For a swinging pendulum, which of the following is true when it is at its lowest point during an oscillation? So if we have a pendulum and it swings this way, here it comes back. The question is asking you at this point here, what is its potential energy and what is its kinetic energy? So we should expect to find that because it is lower to the ground, that is going to tell you that the potential energy is going to be minimum. So we're looking at either one out of these two here. And the kinetic energy, and I think I would have mentioned this in a previous class, that kinetic energy and potential energy is going to add up to 100%. So basically it's like the opposite. So this is going to be maximum kinetic energy, minimum kinetic energy. That's just a quick way of reasoning it out. Question 15. So question 15 is asking you or telling you for us that so the pressure on this one side here, this is a piston of a hydraulic system, and the pressure on this one side here is P. They're asking you what is the pressure on this other side. Let me give you a set of information here. So what you should know is simply that the pressure on this one side of the hydraulic system is equal to the pressure on the other side also. All right, so the answer there is P. You'll notice that the force and the area will be different. However, when you work it out, the pressure though on both sides will be equal. So 15 is B. Question 16 simply asks you which is the unit of kinetic energy. And you should know that the unit for energy is the joule. All right, so that is C. Question 17. Questions basically tell you that if you increase the heat or the temperature rather by adding heat to the water bath, what is going to happen to the volume and pressure of this trapped air? Because we have a mercury pellet here and we have air in the column. So what we expect to happen is that there is a increase in temperature and the pressure is going to build up. However, as the pressure builds up, this mercury pellet here is going to move upwards, hence causing the volume to increase and the pressure will remain constant. So that is going to be E. All right, a few of you might think that you want to say the pressure is going to increase also, but by the volume increasing, the pressure is going to decrease back to its original, whatever it was originally. So eventually the pressure is going to remain constant, but just that the volume is going to increase. Question 18, again, this will have been related to the mnemonic that I will have given to you some time ago, or if you will have actually memorized the order and things like that. Question asks you which one there has the shortest wavelength. So send in your responses. Just give me a chance to send in your responses. All right, so I'm seeing some persons saying A, some saying B. So we expect that the one of the answers on the electromagnetic spectrum is going to be the answer there, right? If you can recall the mnemonic, I visited your ex girlfriend Friday. No, ex girlfriend. So you'll see that this will have been infrared, and this here is the visible light. Visible light is what we will refer to as light rays. All right, so the answer there is going to be B. All right, so it is not water or sound waves, but that was actually two distractors, or very bad distractors. Question 19. So question 19 tells you that a student measured the temperature of a solution using two thermometers. One was calibrated using the Celsius scale and another using the Kelvin scale. So whilst using the Celsius thermometer, he will have observed a temperature rise of 5 degrees. So what is the rise or the increase on the Kelvin thermometer? So a few persons are tempted, and I'm seeing from the responses that you're thinking that it will have been 273 plus 5, which is 278. However, a difference or a rise on the temperature on the Celsius scale is equal to the same increase or rise on the Kelvin scale. And the persons who will have attended my holiday lessons, so to speak, and you're in March to June, we actually went through this year, and I showed you using actual calculations that it is going to be the same. All right, so please note here that a rise or an increase on the Celsius scale is equal to the same increase on the Kelvin scale. Question 20. The heat capacity of a body depends on. Okay, so right, so if the person get this correct, it is A, its mass and the specific heat capacity of the material. 21. The unit or the units for the specific latent heat of fusion is. All right, so I see a lot of persons, and yes, indeed it is B, joules per kilogram. Question 22, you will have probably seen this question before. So right away, once you see this diagram here, it is basically asking you, what is this experiment showing? All right, so the S22 is B. Question 23. Which of the following occurs when one end of a metal rod is heated? So let's assume that we have a metal rod here. What the question is telling you, and we add heat. So one end, this is X and this is probably Y. So the first option, let's go through them. Hot molecule move down the rod. Electrons move down the rod carrying energy, or thermal energy passes from one molecule to the next. What you should remember that this process is actually conduction. And you're not writing paper 2, so this is not a possible question anymore. But normally they'll ask you, what are some differences between conduction and convection? So, all right, and you will know that with conduction, there is no movement of molecules. Basically, the way it is, this molecule vibrating and in contact, causing the heat energy to transfer here to this molecule. This one in turns vibrate, causing it to be transferred to the other molecule, and so on. So the two movements on here, those are incorrect, and the electrons do not move down the rod carrying the energy. Likewise, the molecules do not move down the rod. But actually, that's how the thermal energy is moving from one molecule to the next, which is E. Question 24. Question reads, if the molecules of a gas have less space in which to move, then the number of collisions per second is increased. This Statement explains, so less space, that is talking about volume. Number of collisions per second, that is talking about pressure. So basically it's asking you temperature is constant. So which one of the laws temperature is constant? It is Boyle's law. All right, and you probably read through back that statement. And that is what Boyle's law is saying. 25. Which of the following is not implied by the kinetic theory? Remember again, when you're answering, type your question number and your responses, because some of you, when you send in your answer, I'm getting it a bit delayed, so I'm not too certain which question is that answer for. So you can read through all the options and analyze them a bit. For the answer, which is not, remember that the question is saying not, implied by the kinetic theory, and that answer there is D. All right, so you can read through back again on all the options, and it's a bit very clear to read through now. 26. Question asks you, what is the frequency of the wave shown there? Yesterday, I explained this graph a bit. That was a question for an unknown though, that we couldn't find the frequency. But in this question here, we can't find it because we are seeing now that the time is given. So we know that our frequency is equal to 1 over the period, and the period is equal to the time taken for one oscillation. So this is basically one oscillation, so the time is this value here, which is 0.2 seconds. So therefore the frequency is equal to 1 over 0.2, which is equal to 5 hertz. All right, so the answer here is C. 27. Which of the following statements about sound waves, water waves, and electromagnetic waves is not true? And again, the words not is all caps, so you can see it and don't get confused. They all transmit energy to the surroundings, that is true. I'm just reading through at the bottom. They have different speeds of propagation, that is true. Because we know that that electromagnetic waves are traveling actually faster than water and sound. They all undergo reflection, refraction, and diffraction. Again, that is true because all waves undergo this here. And what is not true is that they're all transverse waves. We will know that all the sound waves are longitudinal waves. So the answer there is B. 28. Which of the following will give the refractive index for light traveling from air to glass? So the first one is incorrect. Speed of light in glass over speed of light in air. It should have been actually the opposite to be correct. Wavelength of light in air over wavelength of light in glass. That is correct, and we don't normally use the frequency. So it is 2 only, which is D. Moving on to 29. So the question asks you about the phenomena of wave that can be observed, where we have plane waves hitting a barrier. All right, so I'm seeing some person saying A. So I'm saying B now, B, A, B. I have B, A, B as popular answers. So let's just look at them. Is reflection going to occur? Yes, reflection is going to occur because when the plane waves hit this barrier here, we're going to expect that some of them will rebound. All right, so I'm at these points here. So reflection is correct. Diffraction is basically waves passing through gaps, and that is going to happen because the waves are going to be going through here. So 2 is going to be correct. Interference. Do we expect interference to happen? Again, yes, if we're going to have waves coming back here. We will expect that as they keep moving here, they're going to be interfering at these points, etc. All right, so we expect that all three of them will take place. So there's 1, 2, and 3. All right, sorted. Which of the following are not transverse waves? And I actually just give the answer they just now. Good. So I see a few persons who have been listening well. So this is actually asking you, is it water waves, light waves, sound waves, or radio waves? And the answer indeed is the sound waves, which I just mentioned that they are not transverse, but they are longitudinal. All right, so we just completed 30 questions. Just a reminder here again that if there are any one of you here writing an exam in 2021 or 2022 and you haven't joined on my physics and chemistry lessons, you can send me a message if you're interested in joining, or if you know any friend or any relative who wants to join. You can also send me a message on this WhatsApp number, and I will give the details. So we continue. 31. Infrared radiation and sound waves are similar. That there is something. So these set of questions are based on the topic waves. So is that they are both longitudinal? Are they both transverse? So we both know that this is not correct. Sound is longitudinal, and infrared radiation is transverse. All right, so these two here are incorrect. They both transfer energy. Well, yes, that is actually a definition of wave, and they're both produced by net. Well, this is the correct answer. Just showing you that D is wrong because mechanical vibration is only producing sound waves. So we go to question 32. If you can hear me, just type 1 in the chat. All right, so I get a few messages, and some persons are, because of the internet connection, they're not hearing too clearly. I do hope at least when I upload the video that the recording is better. All right, so we go to question 32. Which of the following demonstrates the straight line propagation of light? And this here is actually the operation of a pinhole camera. Right, the pinhole camera is actually showing that light travels in a straight line. 33. A ceiling fan has a cooling effect on people because. All right, so why is it that you feel you have a cooling effect when you have on a ceiling fan? And the answer there is indeed D, that it is causing the liquid on your hand to evaporate more rapidly, causing that cooling effect on your body. All right, so 33 is D. 34. The heat energy required to raise the temperature of any quantity of paraffin by 1 Kelvin is called. And there is heat capacity. If the mass was specified, then we could have said it is a specific heat capacity. But because it is saying of any quantity, then we go that it is heat capacity. 35. Question is asking you with this problem here, what is the specific latent heat of vaporization? So we know it's our specific latent heat of vaporization is equal to EH over M, and EH is also equal to PT, power times time, divided by that M. So that answer there is T. 36. How can we obtain a real image using the convergent lens shown? So let's go through the options. Between optical center and F as the principal focus. So if we place it here, what is going to happen? What we expect to happen that is that we're going to have a virtual image. All right, which works what we call a magnifying glass. So this is wrong. Between F and infinity, so it means that from this point here to any other point here, which is actually correct. All right, and not at F only, or to F only. So it is B, between F and any point in infinity. I'm seeing now some persons sending responses to question 35 or 34, so I guess that internet connection is very unstable in some parts. Question 37. We have a ray of light here moving. Question asking you that as it reaches the lens, in what direction is this ray going to go? Is it going to go XG, XH, XF, or X? Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is F and this is one supposed to be E. This is E. All right, so yes, I see a few portions are correct there. It is going to be XH. 38, and just a reminder again, as you're sending your response, put the question number first, then the response. As again, I'm not too certain which question you're responding to. So this area is asking when a polythene rod is rubbed with a cloth, it becomes, and we will have worked this question yesterday. So it is C, correct? And it becomes negative by gaining electrons. Question 39. What is a transformer used to do? So is it used to convert AC to DC, DC to AC, alter the voltage, or alter the frequency? Alter their meaning to change. All right, so the answer there is that so it is a transformer is used to change the voltage. And if you can recall, that is why we have a V1, V2, right? And step up and step down. That is basically the definition. Whether we're going to increase the voltage or we're going to be decreasing the voltage. Question 40. Which of the following is true about the SI unit of electric current? So we know that the unit for electric current is the ampere. All right, so let's go through. It is called the coulomb. Well, definitely that is wrong. So one is incorrect, which tells us that A, B, and D are also incorrect. So we have the answer there right away. It is C. And again, you can go through the other options and correspond. Question 41. Question 41 reads, an electronic flash which discharges in 1 millisecond passes 0.05 coulombs of charge in this time. What is the average current that flows? So we're using the formula Q is equal to IT. So therefore I is going to equal to Q divided by T. The quantity is given as 0.05 coulombs. Let me just write back here. I is equal to 0.05 coulombs divided by, and the time must be in seconds. However, the time was given in the question in milliseconds. We'll have to convert milliseconds to seconds. So that is basically 1 times 10 to the minus 3 seconds. So taking a calculator and working this out here, you should end up with 50. So the answer there is B, 50 amps. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of persons saying it is C. Probably you just take the 0.05 and divide it by 1. All right, but you have to be careful here that the time was given in milliseconds and the time should be in seconds. So we have to convert this here to a second. But everything clear there? Just type yes if it is clear and just answer this question. All right, so somebody's asking, will you be allowed to use calculators? Yes, you're allowed to use calculators in physics and chemistry, the paper one. It is only mathematics and biology, I think. Well, I didn't see, well, mathematics, all of you know about the mathematics. The biology is not in the list of subjects. But chemistry and physics definitely are in the list of subjects for you to that you can use a calculator. All right, because nobody's really expecting you to do these calculations here up here. It is not a math exam that's testing you if you know how to divide and add and things like that. So ensure you have your calculator in the exam room, and you can be using the calculator also. All right, so question 42 reads, a beam of light passes from one medium to another of greater refractive index. When it refracts, and then we go through. So let's draw a line here for you. So this is A and B, and we're saying that B has a greater refractive index. So as a beam of light is coming through here, that being I, what is going to happen to this ray of light if B is greater? So if B is greater, we expect it to slow down, right? So it is going to go towards the normal, so more towards the normal here. So going through the options, what is going to happen? And you'll see that all C and D will be incorrect because they're actually opposite. The speed is supposed to decrease and it's supposed to bend towards the normal. Again, the frequency is known, nothing is going to really affect the frequency, so it is actually B, the wavelength changes. All right, so question 42 is B. Question 43. The critical angle for a material of refractive index 2 is, and just going through the formula here that you'll know that sine C is equal to 1 over the refractive index. So therefore, C is equal to sine inverse of 1 over n, which is equal to sine inverse of 1 over 2, which is a half. Taking your calculator, sine inverse of half is going to give you 30 degrees. The answer there is 30 degrees, which is C. Quarter 4. A student requires a circuit to measure the resistance of a resistor. Which of the circuits is correct? So we should remember that our ammeter should be in series. Ammeter series and voltmeter should be parallel. All right, so we examine the diagrams. Which one there has the ammeter in series and the voltmeter in parallel? And yes, you can see I see a few persons already spotted. It is C. Good. So, question 45. Which of the following statements is or are true about domestic wiring system? So going through there, you'll see that one is correct. Uh, Fuses are included to prevent short circuiting. That is not the purpose of a fuse. So that is incorrect. And the lights are in parallel. That is also, this is correct. So it is 1 and 3 only, which is B. Going on to 46. When the switch is closed, which lamp will be lighted? So this will give you a chance to send your response. So type in your responses quickly for the 6. So I'm seeing 3 options, B, D, and A. So circuit close means what? The switch is on or the switch is off? When the switch is on, which switch is closed? Sorry. Well, so it means basically, yes, it is on. So if we complete this circuit, where are we going to have current? Which bulb is going to be lighted? You can see it, the current is going to flow, R is going to light. We can see it, current flows around here. P is going to light, current flows around here. Q is also going to be lighted. So the answer there is P, Q, and R. All right, so we go on to the next question. So let me just put a little note here. So when you're revising or you're looking back this video, you can remember the answer. So for a diode, this is the block diagram with P and N, and the one at the bottom here is the circuit symbol, and the current direction is from positive to negative. Right, so this is current direction. However, this question is asking about electron flow and not current direction. The current, you will learn that from conventional current, it is from positive to negative. But this question is asking for electron flow. Electron flow is from negative to positive. So let's look through and see which set of question responses is from negative to positive. So this is from negative to positive, so probably this is correct. I'm not saying if it's correct as it. This one here is from positive to negative. That is not electron flow. Here again, it is negative to positive. So again, maybe this is correct in terms of electron flow. And here being positive to negative, this is not electron flow. So it is either A or D, and then we correspond or diagram, and we can see from the block diagram that the P has to be attached to the positive and the N to the negative. All right, so the answer there is going to be A. Part 8. Which of the following will soft iron not be used? The answer there is D, a compass needle. Right, so you can read through that through. That's a simple question. Part 9. So by examining again, this is a lengthy question. You can, again, when reviewing, look back at the question and all the options, but you will see it. So the answer here is going to be D. Fifty, again, another very lengthy question, but we have been over an hour now, so let's just try to go a little faster. Which of the following is true of when a magnet is moved relative to a coil? And reading through, we will see that options 3 and 4 are correct. So the answer there is going to be D. Question 51, which a magnetic field cannot be used to deflect. So which one of these here are not going to be deflected by a magnetic field, meaning that it is neutral? So we know that our neutrons are neutral, all right? So that answer there is B. Question 52. Which of the following will induce an EMF in a conductor? Moving a magnetic field across the conductor, that is correct. Moving the conductor in the magnetic field of a magnet, that is correct. Placing the conductor near to a wire carrying an AC. And again, this is also correct. So all three are correct. The answer there is D, 1, 2, and 3. Question 53. A neutral atom of argon contains 18 protons and 20 neutrons. Which of the following is true? So we can calculate the mass number one time because the question asks for mass number. So mass number will equal to 18 plus 20, which is equal to 38. So we can look through the options. So we can see, yes, it has 38, mass number of 38. It has 20 electrons. That is not true. It has 18 protons, the neutral atom, and it also gets 18 here also. All right, so this is not true. There's an isotope of the nuclide which has a mass number of 40 and proton number of 18. This is true. It has the same atomic number, but different mass number. So it is 1 and 3, which is C. Question 54, a process which cannot be used to distinguish among the various types of nuclear radiation is? Magnetic deflection and electric deflection. It is used. Range measurement, again, that is another way that we can know if it is alpha, beta, or gamma. But radioactive decay, no, that is not a method which is used to distinguish among the three of them. So 54 is D. 55, a magnetic field can be used to deflect a part of the X-ray, sorry, gamma rays, X-rays, and light rays. Those are neutral, so they will not be deflected. But the beta rays will be deflected because it is negatively charged. So it has a charge actually, so it is going to be deflected. Question 56. Question asks you which of the above best represents a uniform electric field? By examining the options, you can see that answer there is B. Question 57. Which of the following statements may be used to define the term half-life? So let's go through each one of them. It is half of the time required. No, it's not half of the time. It is time for half of the nuclei to decay. That is true. It is a time for the activity of a random process to fall to one half of its original value. That is true also. So the answer there is 2 and 3 only, which is C. Question 58, very simple question. Which of the following scientists discovered the relationship E is equal to mc squared? And looking at the responses, yes, everyone is correct. Yes, you know this. It is Albert Einstein. Question 59, and question 59 now deals with a few questions from the 2012 specimen, which did not repeat in the previous specimen. So which of the following is a vector quantity? Vector quantity meaning that has a size and a direction. So these are the two first questions here again. A lot of the grade 10 students are supposed to know the answers. For the grade 11 is not you're supposed to, you should know, right? Because you're supposed to be sending the correct response, because in another 24 hours you will actually be finished writing that exam. So 59, which is a vector quantity, it is momentum, yes. Question 60. Which arrangement gives the greatest resultant force on the block? So let's calculate each one of them. So when they're going in different directions, we subtract. So this is going to be 13 newtons going this way here. Again, we subtract because they're going in different directions. This is going to be 0 newtons, 6 minus 6. Right? If they're going in the same direction, we add them. So this is going to be 4 plus 2 is 6 newtons. Here it is going to be same direction again. 6 plus 6, that's 12 newtons. So we can see that the first one here is going to give us the greatest resultant force. Question 61. Which of the following is a non-renewable energy source? Non-renewable meaning it's going to finish one day. Right, yes, correct. It is C, natural gas. '62. Which lamp is the most stable? Is it PQRS? Correct. Most of you see that. So this has the widest base area. So it is A. All right, and because of its size, we expect that the center of gravity is going to also be very low. Question 63. We'll have worked a question earlier today. It asks you about the diameter of a test tube, right? But this one is asking the diameter of a wire. So when we measure the diameter of a wire, correct, we will be using a micrometer screw gauge. '64, which is the correct SI unit for pressure? Or there are some persons who are not responding anymore. Just ensure that you're sending in your answers. All right, so yes, correct. It is Pascal. Okay. Pressure is the unit of SI unit for pressure is the Pascal. Newton meter. This is going to be moment. The joule is going to be for energy. 65, which is not a vector quantity, meaning they're asking you which is a scalar quantity. So it means it has a size only and no direction. Yes, so it is a mass. Force, velocity, and acceleration are all vector quantities. Question 66. Force is directly proportional to so some persons. So this answer is actually based on Newton's second law of motion, and it is that force is directly proportional to the acceleration. Also 66 is B. 67. Cyclist riding down a hill applies his brakes and eventually comes to a rest at the bottom of the hill. Which of the following energy changes takes place? So if somebody is riding down a hill, so it is changing the distance basically, we expect that the force change or energy change is potential energy. Or else we can say that this is wrong right away. So we all know that, oh yes, it is kinetic energy because he starts to go come down the hill, so he's going to go a bit faster. But when he applies brakes, we expect that there is going to be friction, which means that heat energy will be produced there. All right, so the answer there is going to be B, potential to kinetic, to heat energy. 68. Which of the following does the pressure of a fluid depend upon? So we should know what is the formula for pressure in a fluid. So pressure of a fluid is equal to rho, G, and H. Rho here means density, G means acceleration due to gravity, and H refers to the depth of the fluid. All right, so those who send in the answers, you want to change back your response. All right, so based on the formula here, you can see it. So the density of a fluid, sorry, the pressure of a fluid depends on all density, gravitational field strength, or acceleration due to gravity, and the depth of the fluid. All right, so it is going to be 1, 2, and 3. 69. The period of a simple pendulum depends on. So correct. I see yes, several portions. It is the length. All right. And hope you remember that so it is only the length that will affect the period of a simple pendulum. All right. Not the mass, not the displacement, not stopwatch use. Question 70. Give you a chance to send in your answers. All right. So yes, everyone is saying, and you're correct here. This aeroplane is going to get both potential and kinetic energy. All right. 71. 71 deals basically with moment. All right, so I'm seeing some person thinking that there's all three. So I'm saying C only though. That two is not correct. All right, so let's go through the responses. The sum of the forces in one direction is equal to the sum of the forces in opposite direction. This is true. The sum of the clockwise forces is equal to the sum of the anti-clockwise forces. This is not true. The sum of the clockwise moments is equal to the sum of the anti-clockwise moments. This is correct. So it is 1 and 3 only. So indeed it is C. 72. This question is asking to calculate the density of methylated spirit. All right, so some person come up and they say the answer is A. I'm seeing the answer of B also from some persons. So let's work it together. So we have the density is equal to mass over volume. which will equal to the mass is given as 400 divided by 0.5, which is equal to 800, which is, if we convert it, because these are scientific notation answers, so the answer there is going to be A times 10 to the second power. All right, remember that our density is equal to mass over volume. I think somebody did the opposite around of dividing 50 by 400. 73. So one more question on 73 for you, because I'm having different answers again coming through. So the question is asking you to calculate the potential energy. So potential energy is equal to mg delta H for change in the height. Mg is basically weight, because the question didn't give you mass, or it gives you the weight, so mg is weight. So basically the question is you are working with the weight times delta H. So that is, weight is 2000 times the difference in the height, which is 25 minus 20, which is equal to 2000 times 5. So when you multiply that, you're going to get C as your answer, or 10,000. 74. Okay, so the question is asking you that during evaporation, what happens? We expect that the temperature is going to decrease, so we can strike out these two answers here. And why is it that the temperature decreases? It is because the more energetic molecules will leave the liquid. All right, so that means the ones with the higher temperature. So after that, cooling is going to occur. So that answer there is B. 75, which scientists successfully showed the relationship between heat and mechanical work. We worked this question yesterday, so this was the Joule, this Joule rather. 76. Question tells you that when this bimetallic strip is heated, brass expands more than the iron. So which shape is that showing? Or what is going to be the result rather? All right, so yes, it is B. '77. Well, I explained '77 answer just now when we were working at for the question. There's the heat energy required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of iron by 1 Kelvin, and this time they're specifying the mass. So we now know that this answer here is a specific heat capacity. Or the 77? 78? All right, so yes, I see most of you probably have seen this question before because right away you say it is B, and B indeed is correct. 79? All right, so 79, yes. Again, this probably seems a simple question. Several of you got the correct answer. It is A. Question reader will have read that bubbles of gas rising from a scuba diver below the surface of the sea increase in size as they rise to the surface. The increase in the size is because, and it is simply because the water pressure on the bubbles will decrease, hence the bubbles of the gas can increase in size. Question 8 deals with thermometer, clinical thermometer. All right, so let's see what responses we have. So most persons are hinging around C and D. Your answer there, though, correct answer rather is C, that we have a thin wall bulb and a narrow board. Why thin wall bulb? We want the heat energy to be transferred very quickly because you want it to be very sensitive, and a narrow board that it can that the readings here can be more graduations to get a better reading. 81, and we're wrapping up. We just have a few questions remaining. In a YouTube video, Mr. Lee and his students heat a metal drum, which is then capped and dumped in a tub of cold water. The video shows that the drum is crushed. The gas law that best explains this observation is due to oh, I just got a message this afternoon is a physical education sport exam. So some persons will be leaving the class to go to their exam now. All right, so answer to here, 81. Yes, it is B. Persons who said it is B, it is the discharge law. All right, this is also called the crushing can experiment. You can probably check it out afterwards. All right, 82. So while you're reading 82, let me just comment on a question. Somebody will ask, there was a question earlier that asked you about pressure in a liquid if it depends only on the density and the depth, right? The person will have been saying that. Um, Remember I said that so density is equal to pressure rod is equal to rho GH. All right, so most persons or some but I've noticed a lot of persons leaving out the G as saying that is an answer. But I showed you from the formula that indeed the gravity acceleration due to gravity can affect the pressure of the fluid. All right, so you can check it back online. I just check it here quickly was I'm teaching here that indeed acceleration due to gravity will affect the pressure, right? And you can see that from the formula. So the person who asked, I hope that you're reconfirm here about the response. All right, so back to question 82. So let's read through your response and what answers that you have here. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of C's, a few A. So that's us here, how can we reduce our electricity bill using an air conditioner unit? All right, reducing the temperature to 1 degree Celsius, that is not going to help actually. It will be more expensive because as you decrease in the temperature, meaning making it cooler, you're using up that AC unit more. All right, so one is going to be incorrect. And right here, if you examine it, you say, oh, this is incorrect, this is incorrect, this is incorrect. And you leave it C only. Just going through the two hanging curtains at the window. Yes, you don't want the room to warm up. You hang curtains at the window and painting the roof of the building with aluminum paint. That is just to help with the reflection. Question 83. So as you're typing in your answers, I'm just going to work it out for those who probably not too certain why or how you end up with the answers. So we're using the formula basically EH is equal to MC delta T. For P, the mass will have been M, and all of them are water, so I'm just going to use the letter C times delta T, which is, well, all of them are going to go down to 80, so we subtract the temperature, so that's 80 minus 10. Working that out, you'll end up with 70 MC. For Q, that will equal to 2M because this is double the mass. C again, and this is going to be 60 minus 10. Working all of that, you will end up with 100 MC. R, we have 3M at this time. C, and the difference in temperature is going to be 40 minus 10. Working all of that, you're going to end up with 90 MC. And S, the mass here is 4M, which is 4 MC, and the difference is going to be 20 minus 10. Working all of that is going to end up with 40 MC. So by examining these values here, the question asks you which must lose the most amount of energy. You can see that it is going to be Q. All right, with 100. So the answer there is Q, or in terms of option, that is option D. So we go to 84. I know a few of you getting tired here, messaging asking me. Imagine I'm talking for all the time, right? You're just sitting and listening. Let me just see how long we have been on in the class. All right, so it's 11:13, approaching 2 hours almost. So let's hope that we can wrap up before then. So 84 again, this is going to take a little bit of working to explain. I'm just going to do that again for the benefit of those who can't see the answer quickly there. So the question is dealing with Boyle's law, so we know it as PV, and we know that when we multiply PV, we actually equal to constant. All right, so for the first case, it was, I'm just going to drop the units for making it simple to work out. So 1 times 40 is 40, and when we multiply 1.3 times 30, we end up with 39. So you have to take the number 20 and multiply it with each of these numbers here, and see which one of them comes the closest to 39 or 40. All right, and you will see that when we multiply 1.9 with 20, that is going to be coming the closest to 3940. So the answer is going to be C. All right, I see a few persons having C, which is good. Question 85 is a very simple concept you have learned since in the grade 6 assignment. Lightning is seen several seconds before thunder. Why? And simply because the speed of light is much faster than the speed of sound. 86. Again, you can work with your mnemonics. We worked a similar question just now. The list of electromagnetic waves in order of decreasing wavelength is, and the answer there is D. You can examine them later on and just correspond. 87. So working it out here, we know that N, let me just work it out. N is equal to sine I over sine R. And the question gives you that the refractive index of paraffin is 1.44. So this is basically refractive index from air to paraffin is equal to 1.44. So when we're taking our values, we have to just reverse our light rate to take in consideration. So X is going to become I, and R, angle R is going to be 28 in our calculation. So substituting into this equation here, you're going to end up that sine X over sine 28 degrees is equal to 1.44. So therefore sine X is equal to 1.44 times sine 28 degrees. So looking through the options here, the close, this is basically B, 1.44 times sine 28 degrees. Question 88, which of the following, which of the above rather, shows a ray of light passing through a diverging lens? So looking at the options here, we can see that 1 and 3 are correct. So the answer there is C, 1 and 3 only. 2 is not correct. Question 89, it asks us about Young's double slit experiment. What is it all about? It is basically about interference patterns on a screen. All right, so 89 is interference patterns on the screen. Question 90. Pitch and loudness refers to or refer to respectively. But pitch we know is referring to the frequency and loudness is amplitude. So the answer there is going to be B, frequency and amplitude. Question 91, we work a similar question like this yesterday. It is not the same question. But I mean, not the same question. It doesn't have the same numbers, right? I think the numbers have been changed here. So again, working it from the base to the mirror is going to be 4.5 meters. So hence the image of the base is going to be 4.5 meters also. So the total distance from the lady to the vase, the image of the vase rather, is going to be that 5 plus 4.5, which is 9.5. All right, so it is D. I see a lot of you right away typing the D. Probably worked it out, or you just work with the rationale. It has to be the largest number there. But I hope that you're working it and you will get in your answer. 92. So 92, I'm going to again work with the question. So we know that speed is equal to, or wave speed rather, is equal to wavelength times frequency. Question is asking us for the wavelength. So wavelength is equal to speed over frequency, which is equal to the, again, I'm dropping the units just for the sake of calculation, 3 times 10 to the 8 times 10 to the 8. Let me put in a unit, meters per second, divided by, and we notice here that the frequency is given as 750 kilohertz, but the unit of frequency here must be in hertz. So we'll have to convert 750 to hertz, from kilohertz to hertz, so that's going to be 750 times 1,000 hertz. So working all of this here, using your calculator again, you will see that that works out to be C, 400 meters. Question 39. I'm 93, sorry, I'm saying 39. 93. It marks here item 39. That's why I said question 39 there. I'm wondering why I'm saying that. But it's 93, right? At the top of the screen, I have the question number. So question 93 asks us, what is the current in R1 if the current in R2 is 1.8 amperes? So we should know that the voltage here is equal to, voltage here is going to equal to the voltage here also. So we can work out the voltage value here. So V is equal to IR, which is equal to 1.8 times 4, drop in the units, which is equal to 7.2 volts. So now we know this is 7.2 volts, and now we can work for I. So I is equal to V over R, which will equal to the 7.2 divided by 6. Taking your calculator, you will see that that is A 1.2. Question 94. Again, I'll just do the calculation out for the sake of persons following later on. So we're using the formula Vs over Vp, which is equal to Ip over Is. Question is asking us for the primary current, so that is Ip. So Ip is going to equal to Ps Is over Vp, and substituting into that equation and working it out, you will end up with the answer 0.05 amperes. All right, so the students who are supposed to have maths lesson this afternoon will not be having any maths lesson because we probably finish a bit. We're finishing up just now for this class here, but I won't be able to make it for the maths, right? So not today. Question 95. All right, so looking at the truth table given, the question asks you which logic gate is this here. Well, you're supposed to know the rationale of getting your answer. This here is going to be the NAND gate. '96. If the secondary coils is greater than the primary coil, what type of transformer do we have here? There's going to be a step-up transformer. '97, which of the following quantities is constant in a parallel circuit? I just mentioned that to you, and that is the voltage. '98, I think this is a repeat of the past specimen, and I didn't take this one here, but magnetic field can be used to deflect, and it is the beta rays, right? 99. For any two consecutive elements in the periodic table, the first element has one less something compared to the other one. Remember, so the elements are arranged in increasing protons, right? Atomic number is the proton number. Question 100. For a radioactive substance with a particle half-life, as time increases, the radioactive substance something. And we expect that as the time increases, the radioactive substance is going to decrease. What was the Vega-Martin experiment? What did it establish? Being present in an atom, they will have found out that it is a nucleus. '102. The atomic number and the mass number of an atom are 50 and 120 respectively. So what does this mean? It means that the protons is equal to 50, and the number of neutrons will equal to 120 minus 50. which is equal to 70. So therefore, the answer there is D, 50 protons and 70 neutrons. (103) On Saturday, the count rate of a radioactive source was 240 counts per second. So this was on Saturday. We have 240. I'm just dropping the units. Exactly 2 days later, the count rate had fallen to 120. So this is basically half. So this is 2 days later. This is on Monday. So we can see that the half-life is actually the 2 days, right? It's taking 2 days to go to half. So it says here now that after 4 days, 4 more days, what is going to happen? So after 2 more days, it is going to be 60, and then after another 2 more days, it is going to be 30. So the answer there is going to be C, 30. All right, this is a repeat question from just now. When a polythene rod is rubbed, what happens? It is going to become negative by gaining electrons, right? One of five, we just work this one here out. So those are the options we arrange. The role of a transformer. In a circuit is to alter the voltage. Good, we just have 5 more questions and we'll finish here for today. Which of the following materials are conductors? So I'm going to give everyone a chance to respond. I know some fourth formers are just relaxing right now because the past set of questions were basically from the grade 11 work. So all those who were not participating, at least for this last set of questions, so send in your answers. So which are conductors? Wood, well, no. Actually, the answer becomes very clear after that. Wood is not. A, B, and D are not responsive. But we check it through, gold and graphite are indeed conductors. Question 107 deals with Fleming's left-hand rule. And the question is asking you, what does each finger represent? So this is a thumb, and it represents the thrust or the force. This is first finger. It represents the field, and the second finger for current. So we got force, field, and current, which is D. So just a reminder, the persons who I stepped in just now, and you'll have missed out the previous part, so you'll have a chance later on. I'll try to do that probably just as soon as I finish here to upload the recording on YouTube. All right, so you'll have a chance to just review back the video. 108, similar question you were before. Ask you to measure the resistance how should we place the voltmeter and the ammeter? Remember that the ammeter is in series, voltmeter is in parallel. So that response is going to be, the answer there is going to be C. Question 109. Which of the following is not true when a magnet is moved relative to a coil? And the only thing that is not true there is 1. All right, so it is A. Question 110. What does A and B represent? So we should remember that how the charge always go from positive to negative. The field lines are drawn from positive to negative. So it is D. Final question, question 111. Question asks you what are the values for A and B? And again, this is the last question, just in a response here. Remember these numbers here must add up back when you add them. You must get back this answer here. So A plus 4 is going to give you 220. So what is A? And likewise, B plus 2 is going to give you 86. So what is B? And we can see that 216 plus 4 is 220. So these two are out. And then we'll see that 84 plus 2 is 86. All right, so that's B. That will bring us to an end for today's class. We have been 2 hours actually. We have spent 2 hours. All right, so I hope that the revision has assisted, especially grade 11 students, and to spend the afternoon go through back the past papers that we have worked over the past few months, revise back through your study guides. All right, review back this video. Remember, these are from the 2 specimen papers and today's set of questions. And CXC, those are some questions that they consider to be important or relevant to the syllabus. All right, just a little note here that tomorrow at around 2, we'll be having a chemistry revision. I will send you the link. And on Saturday at 9:30. All right, and the persons who are not in any of the WhatsApp groups, please remember to send me a WhatsApp message if you're interested in joining any of these classes. I'm just going to ask you that if you're on Facebook, you go to this page here, Cricket Fantasy League, and you just like and follow the page. All right, so good luck in your exams, the grade 11 students. Again, revise your work, study hard, and that grade 1 should be very easy to get. All right, so any questions or comments before I end the class? I know that there are several persons who have left was working and they did have an exam this afternoon. I know there are a few persons who had exams this morning also. There was home economics exam this morning, and this afternoon is physical education and sports. The recording, yes, the recording is going to be available on YouTube. Those of you who have subscribed to the channel, you will probably see the notification right away. All right, so it is easy for you to find the video, or else you just have to go and search the channel and get the video. But I'll put it as public so you can get access without the link. All right,